The free class that I promised you guys. I told you I was going to start teaching Solomonic Magic for free. So here we are. Here we are, me, you and me, all of us together. This class right here is going to be a very basic class. We're going to explain some of the core principles of what Solomonic Magic is, why it matters, etc. The reason that I wanted to do this is A, because I'm petty, and B, because I'm petty. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding, but there was someone that took some shots at some of us that practice ritualistic magic. And for those of you guys that do not understand ritualistic magic, you need to. If you want to level up and be any kind of a powerful practitioner, you have got to learn the basics of ritual magic. You already do several of them, whether you realize it or not. And as I'm going through my notes here and some of the things that you're going to utilize in ritualistic magic, you're going to realize really, really quickly that you already do a lot of these things. So it's not that learning Solomonic magic or learning ritualistic magic is going to be a far stretch from things you already do. People get it in their head that it's really hard to start practicing ritualistic magic or Solomonic magic, but you already do a lot of the things. Do you ever cast a circle? Do you ever put a circle of salt around a candle or around a working? Then you've already started down the path of Solomonic magic. Do you have a wand? Do you have a staff? That's ritualistic magic. Do you do anything at all with calling in the corners? That is ritualistic magic. So let's go through, let's talk about it, and let me learn ya. Let me give you a little bit, especially of protection, because you can never have too many protections. Tonight's class is called Solomonic Magic 101. This is Foundations in the Art of the Wise, especially protections. This is going to be like a beginner's introduction to ceremonial magic traditions that helped shape things like the Golden Dawn and so on. Part of the reason I want to teach this class, I have 4 goals that I want you guys to be aware of as you're going through this class. The first one is to kind of understand the core principles about what Solomonic ceremonial magic is. Then I want you to also see where the parallels between Solomonic magic and what you practice and today's magic, modern magic, are. I also want you to learn the basic ceremonial techniques for starting up with protections so you can start utilizing these in your own practice. And then I'm going to give you a short little structured invocation and protection ritual that you can do at home whenever you feel like you're ready. So the first part of this class is going to be a little boring. We're going to be a little dry. We're going to start with talking about Solomonic magic and a brief history of it, because I find that a lot of people hear the term Solomonic magic and you think that it's just, enslaving demons to build your temple, and that's not exactly correct. Solomonic magic is from King Solomon in the Bible. So when you hear the term Solomonic magic, yes, it comes from King Solomon and his practices from biblical times. What's interesting about Solomon, King Solomon especially, is that it's not just in Christianity. You do not find King Solomon only in Christianity, and this is where a lot of people, you don't realize that he's in 3 different major religions. You can find him in Jewish, in Christianity, and in Islamic traditions, Bibles, etc. So he passes through all 3 of those major religions. A lot of people hear Solomonic and you think Freemasons, you think Christianity, you think the Bible, you think things like that. But he's also in Jewish practices and mysticism and Islamic practices and mysticism. This aspect of teaching and practicing Solomonic magic is all about possessing divine wisdom. It is not about possessing spirits. I want you guys to get that in your head right now. This is about possessing divine wisdom. This is to make you a more powerful practitioner. I know a lot of you guys, especially if you've been on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or whatever for years now, especially with the rise of TikTok and the rise of witch talk, a lot of people have been on, y'all know how to make a spell jar. Y'all know how to make a spell jar. Y'all know how to pick out crystals and bracelets and herbs, and y'all know how to do the basic things, and you've been hungering for something else. Am I right? You've been hungering for more. You want to know how you can become more powerful, how you can utilize your practice more better. This is how. Solomonic Magic also helps you to, now I'm going to say this next part carefully with a big but at the end, okay? Helps you to command angels and other spirits, but you have to get to a point where you have the sacred authority to do so. It's not just, oh, I've been practicing for 2 years, I've got this. If you don't have a firm grasp in the basics of Solomonic Magic, it does not matter what authority you personally think you have. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you do, what you practice, what you say, what you bought, wherever. If you have not got the foundational aspects of Solomonic Magic down, which is what this free class series is about, none of that's going to work out in your favor. That is how you get attachments. That is the other reason I wanted to teach this class. I see too many people that are trying to command spirits or command demons or angels or whatever. It does not work that way. You cannot just go, I know how to make a spell jar and therefore I may command thee. They are going to laugh in your face. This is how you get an attachment. This is why people are scared of Solomonic Magic, why they're scared of things like this, because they have watched too many people try to command spirits that don't have any kind of foundational aspect to them. Most of the aspects of Solomonic Magic come from the little bit of surviving texts from the Key of Solomon. This is a medieval grimoire that was put together sometime between the 14th and 17th centuries. They don't really know exactly when this particular the Key of Solomon was put together. This is it was compiled from Latin, from Aramaic, and from older Hebrew manuscripts all together. So they took all of these pieces of old manuscripts that you do not find in the Bible or in other biblical books that are mainstream like that, and they put them together into the Keys of Solomon. So there is the Lesser Key of Solomon, and there are a couple of other ones. We're going to start talking about basically the Key of Solomon. If you are interested at all in learning Solomonic Magic, A, I am happy to teach you. B, I am going to be doing free classes on Wednesdays so you guys can learn how to do ritualistic magic safely. But C, I highly advise you to get the Key of Solomon, the Lesser Key of Solomon, that you can find them in a bundle. They are very cheap on Amazon. They are on Audible. You can find them on YouTube, but here's my but with listening to them on YouTube. Make sure that it is actually the Key of Solomon that they're reading, not that creator's interpretation of it, okay? You want to find the actual Key of Solomon. I think that on Audible, it's like $15. I think on Amazon, if you were a reader, it's literally like 15 or $20, okay? If you're very interested in it, I highly recommend doing that, okay? We will here in a little bit go through some other items that you will need for ritualistic magic. Ritualistic magic does have a list of items that you're going to need, okay? You can start gathering them now. Chances are you already have most of them. So some of you guys are like, oh, I'm broke as if I'm broke. You probably already have them. So don't stress yet. One of the things that I want to talk about there are some core goals of Solomonic Magic. The main one is divine communication. That is the main one, because how are you going to get divine wisdom and higher wisdom if you don't have the right communication? That's like trying to talk to Apple tech support, but you only are talking to the robot that cleans the floor at the mall. Do you see the difference there? You can talk to the robot that cleans the floor at the mall all day long. It does not mean that that robot is going to be able to help you unbrick your iPhone. I want you guys to see the difference. If you want to have divine wisdom, divine knowledge, you want to have them help you with stuff, you have to have the right divine communication, okay? You can't just be talking to a rock and going, oh, this will work. It won't work. It won't work. One thing that I want to mention here is that a lot of people get discouraged when they start watching other creators on social media. If you haven't looked into how long that creator has been practicing, how long they've been doing what they're doing, then you may see them doing things and you may try to copy them and then wonder why your stuff doesn't work. This is why. Myself, I can only speak for myself. I have been doing this for a very long time. I was raised in this weird ass kind of practice. However, with Solomonic Magic, I started learning Solomonic Magic about 20 years ago. So I was in my mid 20s, longer than 20 years ago. We're not going to get into how long ago that was. Quarter of a century ago. That's what, like, we're just leave that over there. Don't pay attention to that. But I've been learning it for a very long time. I've been practicing it hardcore ever since. Ever since. One of the things that you're going to find in this is that there are people that try to do ritualistic magic and they don't know the right words. They don't know the right things. They don't have the right foundation. They don't have the right tools. They just don't know what they're doing. So they half-ass piece it together. To be able to have divine communication, this is what is going to get you there. So your magic has more power, more oomph, okay? The other thing is angelic invocation. People think that Solomonic Magic is only about controlling demons or infernals. I hear a lot of creators calling them infernals here on social media. You can call them what you want. They are still demonic entities. They are what we think of as demonic entities. Infernal, demonic, same thing. Okay, so when you hear people talking about infernals, they're actually talking about demonic entities. Know the difference, okay? Calling on angelic forces for blessings, for protection, for guidance, for all of those things, that is a key part of Solomonic Magic. If you do not have divine communication, if you do not have angelic invocation and angelic communication, then there's no way that you can deal with demonic forces, infernals, whatever you want to call them. The other part, if you don't have divine communication and angelic invocation, then you don't have spirit contact. Not in Solomonic Magic, not safely. Spirit contact is summoning, communicating with, and making deals with. And I know some of you went when I said that, and that's fine. With spirits, and when I say spirits in this class, angels are angels. Angelic aspects are angelic aspects. Spirits are anything from elementals to demons and everything in between. Angels are one thing, and we're going to kind of like unclassily lump everything else into the word spirits, okay? Being able to talk to, speak to, and work with those spirits, you have to have angelic invocation, you have to have protection, and you have to have blessing to do so. The other part of learning Solomonic Magic is for magical authority. And yep, there's that word again, magical authority. And I know a lot of you guys are like, well, you know, I've been practicing for so long or so forth. The one thing that I want you guys to remember when you're starting off learning Solomonic Magic is you need to come into this with a mind that you are starting from a blank slate. When I started learning this, I started from a blank slate. Even though I had already been practicing as an adult for several years, and even though I grew up doing all kinds of Celtic and Norse practice, all kinds of a hodgepodge of fun American folk magic, I grew up doing that. However, that was one of the main things that I was told when I started Solomonic Magic, is to look at learning Solomonic Magic like you are learning something brand new that you've never, ever, ever known before. Okay? I want you to liken this to some awesome brand new cell phone just came out. It's not Android and it's not Apple. It is something brand new and you've never seen it before. You kind of know a little bit. You know what apps mean. You know what data means. You know what, cellular signal means. You're going to hear terms in Solomonic Magic that you're going to go, oh, okay, I recognize that. I recognize that. but I want you to come into Solomonic Magic with a blank slate, okay? You don't know what you don't know yet. And as you get further into Solomonic Magic, you're going to scratch your head a couple times and go, okay, I should take a break and back off and walk away from this. And that's okay. But part of Solomonic Magic is having magical authority. This is gaining the ability to command spiritual forces through purity, through discipline, and through the use of sacred names. Okay? So let's talk about a little bit with the Golden Dawn. And some of you guys have seen the books around and so on. The Golden Dawn was established in 1888 in England. It was a group that used a lot of the Hermetic order. They used a lot of Solomonic magic, and they kind of took that and put that together. A lot of times when you're looking up Solomonic magic, you're going to find that the Golden Dawn, that name is going to pop up a lot. While, yes, they do use a lot of Solomonic magic, it is not strictly Solomonic magic that the Golden Dawn uses. They do use different conjurations such as prayers, divine names, and some ritual structures that they have adapted into their own practice. They use a lot of Enochian elements. I personally use a ton of Enochian elements. Some of you guys know, if you've been following me for a very long time, you know that I have a lot of Enochian tattooed on me in places that cannot be seen because not everybody needs to see your practice. But there's a lot of Enochian magic that you're going to utilize in Solomonic magic as well. I lean very heavily on Enochian magic and Solomonic magic, and I want to teach you guys that as well. In the Golden Dawn, also, there is a very graded system of initiation. Solomonic magic has a graded system of initiation, such as, you know, beginner and acolyte and all those things. But the Golden Dawn has very strict ones, okay? There's a lot of symbolism in color, in items, in size, in shape, in stone, in herb, all of those things, both in the Golden Dawn and in Solomonic magic. So one thing I want to say is that I will be going through a list of items that you will need for the ritual I'm going to teach you guys later. Yes, they need to be those items. Yes, they need to be those items. For the most part, I will try to say, okay, you could use this or this, this or this, but inevitably, I have people that say, it's like when I say, hey, drink some water. Will this tea count? No, ma'am. No, sir. Water. With Solomonic magic, you also have to get it through your head that if the recipe or the ritual calls for sea salt, it is sea salt. It's not kosher salt. It's not iodized salt. It's sea salt. If the recipe calls for a piece of birch wood, it is a piece of birch wood. You don't go get oak or ash or whatever you have in your backyard. Otherwise, that ritual will go sideways and you will not get the result you want. So one of the things I want you guys to start getting through your head, and this is something that I'm sure there are going to be people that argue with me, and that's fine. With Solomonic magic, if it says to use this, that's what you use. With witchcraft, with Wicca, with other practices, if you don't have rosemary, you can find something else that does what rosemary does. If you don't have a piece of birch, you can find something that does something similar to what birch does. In Solomonic magic, if it says this, that is what you use, okay? There are a lot of things, however, in ancient Solomonic magic that you ain't going to find. You are not going to find it. Or you're going to find it and you're going to immediately go with how much it costs to get it, okay? There are some things that can be moved in and out for modern magic. Let me just say that I have been working on a modern day book for Solomonic magic for a little while. It is not ready yet. Just saying that, but I'm trying to help you guys with that. So let's talk a little bit about the tools and the symbols that you're going to really use in Solomonic magic. And if you don't have these items already, chances are you're going to have a lot of them. If you don't have them already, I'm going to give you some ideas for how you can do them very, very cheaply or free. Or if you want to go all out and be bougie, I'm the last person to fault somebody for being super bougie. The very first one is a wand or a staff. I guarantee you, every one of you probably has a wand already. Every one of you. If you don't, Etsy is a fantastic place to find some handcrafted wands. I have a friend in Scotland. If you want to look him up on Etsy, it is Fergus Art, Fergusart. I own probably like 4 of his wands. I have a couple blackthorn wands, all of this stuff. He takes them to specific areas in Scotland. He blesses them. He lets them sit under full moonlight, etc. And believe it or not, they're very, very affordable, including shipping. It's, I'm serious. I think that I paid $40 for one, and I think I paid $65 for one. Like, they're very, very affordable. They're handcrafted wands. If you are someone that you're like, I don't really want a wand, I don't want to use a wand, I feel corny using a wand, that's fine. A staff is the other option. It's one of those two. If you want to practice Solomonic magic, you have to have one of these two. If you are like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and full on Gandalf this bitch and I want a staff. You're my kind of person. I personally have several of each. Now, I also have been practicing a very long time, okay? I have several of each. A staff is something that is very tall. Usually a staff is over 4 feet long. It can be whatever you want it to be from there. A lot of Renaissance fairs, you're going to find some fantastic wands and staffs and staves and so on. You can make your own. In fact, I would highly recommend making your own if you're interested in a staff. That is a whole other class, whole other videos, etc. As far as a wand goes, you don't have to be super stressed about, well, I got to have a fancy wand. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you are broke as a joke right now, let me tell you a very, very cheap way that you can make your own wand without, there's 2 different ways, okay? One, if you live anywhere close to a lake or a forest or anything like that, go find yourself a stick that you like. Peel the bark off and just hold it. Find yourself a stick. It doesn't have to be fancy. People think wands have to be fancy. They don't. I have a wand that is actually really fancy and really expensive, but it just looks like a stick. It just looks like a weird bent stick. It goes like that. It's actually from the witch's tree that Macbeth was written about in England, but it just looks like a stick. It just looks like a stick. No one has to know where this stick comes from. Go play sticks. Go play sticks. If you live in the middle of nowhere and you're like, all right, well, all I got's corn. Okay. Or if you live in the middle of the city and there's nowhere for you to go grab sticks, maybe you don't have a car, I guarantee you can find a pair of chopsticks. I guarantee you can find a pair of chopsticks either with Chinese takeout or at Walmart or whatever. I know some of you guys are like, chopsticks, bitch, what? Mm-hmm. And guess what? Chopsticks are bamboo, especially if you find the ones that you have to pick them apart. And here's the beauty of having the ones that you're going to pick apart. Okay. You ready for this? When I buy a wand, such as the blackthorn wands, I have 2. I have one for good workings and I have one for baneful workings. So guess what? If you have 2 chopsticks, now you have one for good workings and one for baneful workings. And you can ward them however you want to ward them. You can color them, you can mark on them, whatever you want to do. I'm just saying what I'm saying. Just saying what I'm saying. Somebody asked about the person on Etsy. He is also on TikTok. I think he is on YouTube as well, but it is Fergus Art, Fergusart. He is in Scotland. I love him. I love his wands. I am happy to promote him. The next thing we're going to talk about is a sword or a dagger, and this is for circle offense. Wait, let me tell you why you need a wand or a staff. This is for authority. This is the magical tool of Solomonic magic, and you have to have one for the authority aspect of your practice. And I'll tell you more about how you're going to use that later. But the next thing is for circle defense, and that is a sword or a dagger. Now, a lot of you guys, if you practice Wicca, if you've gotten into witchcraft and you have a really cool selenite knife, guess what? You've already got this covered. If you are someone like me who is a nerd and you grew up in the 80s and you like Lord of the Rings and all that fun stuff, and you go to, the mall, or you go to the fair, or you go to a Renaissance fair and you're like, ooh, I like that dagger right there. And you went home with 3 or 4 daggers. There you go. I highly recommend trying to find one that is iron if you can. There are some really cool ones on Amazon that are made from iron. I will say just pay attention to the length. I ordered one that I thought was wicked cool. I thought it was going to be like this. Yeah, that bitch is like this. It's still wicked cool. Don't get me wrong. And I'm still going to use it. But one thing I recommend, and this is not something that you have to immediately go and get, is one made of iron. The reason that I recommend one being made of iron is iron is used for banishing and iron is used for protection. So if this is for circle defense, having an iron knife is fantastic. A lot of times at Renaissance fairs, you can find them made out of nails. You can find them made out of railroad spikes. So if you already have one, if you were at a Renaissance fair and you bought a knife made out of a railroad spike, guess what? You're covered. The next thing is a talisman, which is the focus of the operation. Usually this is a pentacle. Okay, so a pentacle is up. Pentagram is down. Pentacle is up. Okay, that is the 5-pointed star. The reason that you want to have this is because this is all 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, spirit, or ether, whichever you want to call it. That's all 5 elements. Does it have to be 9 feet in diameter? No. Can it be like this? Yes. Do you already have one? I guarantee you. If you've been in the witchy world, something that you have bought or something that you own has one of these on it. And if not, guess what? You have a piece of paper and a pencil and you can draw one. Okay? Get one when it feels right for you to get one. Okay? That is the focus of the operation. You are going to use this a lot. If you have an altar cloth with one on there, you already have one. Okay? The next thing is called a lamen, however you want to call it, Lamen. So what this is a inscribed protective barrier that goes over your heart. Now, some of you guys are like, where am I going to get that? Let me tell you. You can have this is what I do, okay? I have a couple of shirts that I only use for ritualistic practices. I have turned them inside out, and on the inside of that shirt, that is where I have drawn this. You don't have to go and buy some ceremonial breastplate unless you want to. Not judging. In fact, I want to see, well, no, don't show me because you don't need to show anybody. But if you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that, no worries. You just need a shirt that you're only going to use for ritualistic magic. Turn it inside out, put this on the inside. We will have a whole class about what needs to go on that. In fact, we can do that next week if you want. The next thing I know you guys have, because this is why you need a wand or a staff, and that is a circle. The circle is key to Solomonic magic because this is a sacred space and a barrier. Do you ever wonder why people are like, you have to draw a circle, you have to draw a circle, you have to put a salt circle down? That's Solomonic magic. That is Solomonic magic. You can draw a circle with your wand. You can draw a circle with your staff. You can draw a circle in salt. You can draw a circle with a pen. You can draw a circle with your finger. It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. The circle is the sacred space and a barrier for your magic. If you know that you're always going to be practicing in one room of your house, that room is going to be your ritualistic magic spot, then get you a circle rug. Get you a rug that's a circle. Turn it over, outline on the outside, any kind of rune work or whatever. If you know that maybe you don't have a room where you can practice just that, and you're going to be practicing in your house, you totally can draw a circle around your house. Don't do it in salt though, because you'll kill all the grass. But you totally can draw a circle there, or you can just draw a circle every single time you practice something specific. Okay? See, I told you guys already had the majority of this, didn't I? I told you. All right. So let's talk about how you structure a ceremony, how you structure a ritual in Solomonic magic. The very first part, and some of you guys are going to go, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. The very first thing is purification. This is a ritual bath. a ritual shower. This is washing of yourself, washing of your tools, and cleansing the space. Before I do any type of ritual, I take a ritual bath. Sometimes I don't want to because I want to get to the ritual. But I know damn well that if I don't take this ritual bath or shower, then things are not going to work out as well. I cleanse every one of my tools before and after I use it, whether it's just I go, wash it in the sink, whether I'm cleansing it with smoke. Usually I do both. You also want to cleanse the space that you're using. So let's say that you have your altar in your bedroom. You're going to cleanse that entire room. You're going to utilize sage, incense, yerba scent, whatever it is that you want to use to cleanse that space, sound bowls, bells, whatever you want to use. That space needs to be clear before you start your ritual. Okay? So purification is a huge, huge aspect in ceremonial magic, in ritual magic. Okay? You cannot forget it. I will harp on it every single time until it's pounded in your head that you have to have purification of yourself, your space, and your tools before you ever start in ritual magic. The next thing is consecration. This is blessing of your tools with holy water and incense. And I know some of you guys are like, why would I want holy water? If you want to practice Solomonic magic, you're going to have holy water. It does not mean that you go and you grab a glass of water and you're like, because I say that you're holy, you're holy. That doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. My personal advice is this. We're going to talk about consecrating some water here in a little bit. However, I highly recommend that sometime very, very soon, you take a trip to a Catholic church that is by you and get some holy water. They will have dispensers in there. They usually have little vials you can buy. Sometimes they have it already bottled for you. You're not going to burst into flames. I promise. I have holy water from some very, very gorgeous, fantastic churches throughout the United States. You can order some online. Now, let me say this. If you're ordering holy water online, please make sure that it is from a Catholic church specifically, not from someone on Etsy, I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. Incense is another big one, and I want you guys to think about the Catholic Church and how they use holy water and incense for everything that they do. This is to consecrate, words, you know what I'm saying? To consecrate that particular item, that person, that space, etc. When I'm doing ritualistic magic, I always have usually five sticks of incense going at the same time. And yes, I look at what that incense is for and I match the incense to what I'm doing. If I am doing a protection working, then I burn stuff that has protection in it. Okay? The next thing is circle casting. And this is invoking divine names to protect you. You are the magician. You are the one that is utilizing Solomonic magic in a ritual form. If you do not cast this circle and you do not use divine names to do so, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, how to call in the corners. You're going to hear it calling in the corners, calling in the stations, calling in, trying to think of the other one, calling in the elements. We're going to talk about all of that, so you're going to know how to do that. If you do not do that, you are missing out on a core part of your protection. You are missing a huge core part of your protections, okay? The next is the invocation or the conjuration, which is the calling of angels or of spirits. And then you also have to have a license to depart. This is as simple as closing the ritual out, saying thank you, I appreciate your help, and so on. One of the things that I personally do, especially when I'm doing candle workings, whether it's a ritual candle working or not, and I want you guys to start getting in the habit of doing this, I blow my candles out. I was taught to blow my candles out because the breath is the life force. You are giving life to that candle when you light it, and you're giving life to that candle and that working when you blow it out. So I always say, thank you for everything you are doing, you have done, and you will do, and thank you for your time. And then I blow the candle out. I say it in my head most of the time. It's just habit. But I want you guys to get used to saying, Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything you have done, for everything you will do, and you have done, and you are doing. Thank the spirits for their time. Thank the spirits for their time. Thank the angelic presences that you've called in. Thank the spirits that you've called in. Just thank them for their time, and close the ritual out. Nothing is allowed outside of this circle. Nothing is allowed to follow me home or to follow me to bed or whatever. Nothing is allowed to attach to anything in my house. This door is closed. Nothing else is allowed through. Everything that has come through is now asked to go back to where it came from. And you have to learn to do this with authority. You can't just go, I'm going to close the door now and like don't haunt me when I sleep. This is not something where you can be timid, and this is not something where you can be funny. I'm funny a lot. I like to make a joke of everything, not with ritualistic magic. This door is closed. Thank you for everything you have done, you will do, and you are doing. I appreciate your time. No one else is allowed through. Everything that has come through to help me now must go back to where it came from. You cannot joke about it, and you cannot be, well, I mean, if you really have something else to say, no ma'am, no sir. That is how you get attachments. Closing is also part of the license to depart, and that is the prayer of thank you and sealing the circle. When you're doing a ritual, you are inside the circle, and you do not exit the circle while the ritual is going. No one is allowed to cross that circle barrier while the ritual is going. That ritual circle is a wall, and it is not allowed to be crossed or broken while ritual is happening. Let's talk about the core ritual practice. And this is, actually, let's talk about ethics and safety first, and then we'll talk about rituals. I want to talk about ethics and safety real quick, and I will have this part in each one of these classes. Because I know, let me rub my head first off. I know there is a big debate on TikTok about ethics with magic and safety and so on. Witchcraft, Wicca, all of that, whatever you believe, you believe. But here's the thing with Solomonic magic. There are rules. There are rules. There are ethical aspects of Solomonic magic. They're not my rules. They're not ones I made up. They are rules with ritualistic magic. If you don't follow them, you will have consequences. It's not a joke. It's not funny. It is not just, oh, fuck around and find out. This is how people get possessed. This is how people have things attached to them, to their children. This is how you get a sleep paralysis demon that actually is just something from the astral that is draining you all the time. This is why spells backfire. This is why people get generational curses without knowing why. There are rules and there are ethics in ritual magic, and if you break them, you will have consequences. I want you guys to also get that through your head, okay? With witchcraft, with Wicca, with whatever it is you want to practice, that's your own ethics. That's all whatever you want to do and whatever you believe in. But with Solomonic magic, if you want to practice hardcore ritualistic magic and you really want to be a solid practitioner, there are rules, okay? The first one is you don't ever summon an entity without the proper authority and without the proper preparation, which includes protections, purifications, all of that. You never, ever, ever summon an entity without those things. And I know that there are a lot of people on social media that summon entities. Just summon entities. Let's just summon some entities. Let's summon an infernal. Let's summon this angel or whatever. And I want you to take a look at some of the people. I have burner accounts. Don't think I don't see what y'all are doing. I want you guys to look at some of the practitioners that are very deep into infernals, that are very deep into demonic practices, that are very deep into astral stuff and so on, or they just are fascinated with tulpas or with egregores and they're summoning spirits and so on. I want you to pay attention to how things go for them. If they're not practicing this in a very safe way and adhering to specific rules, unfortunately, that always goes sideways. Always goes sideways. The other thing is you always want to begin with divine alignment. In Solomonic Magic, your role as the magician is divine will. Okay? I want you to remember that. And I know some of you are like, I left Christianity a long time ago. Solomonic Magic has nothing to do with Christianity. It truly doesn't. While King Solomon is in the Bible and some of the stuff he did is in the Bible, it has nothing to do with Christianity. Has nothing to do with any type of religious practice. Solomonic Magic is its own beast. But your role as the magician is a servant of the divine will. Okay? The other thing that you want to do as far as ethics goes and safety goes, and this is more for safety, record everything you do. The wonderful thing about technology is that all of us have a cell phone. Video, 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 what you do. No one needs to see it. One big part of ritualistic magic is that you don't need to share this. Ritual is your ritual. Okay? The reason that you want to record it, and I record it and then I will go back through it and I will journal it. I have a specific grimoire that no one sees, that is just for ritualistic practices, that I go through and I record all of the things. Because there are going to be things that happen during ritual that you're concentrating on this candle right here, on saying the right things, on closing everything correctly, and you didn't notice that that candle over there was jumping like crazy or popping, or it had two flames suddenly, or you didn't notice that over here this incense stick went out and relit, or you didn't hear the voice. Record it. Record it. And then go back and listen to it. None of us like to hear our voice on a recording. None of us like to look at ourselves. We pick ourselves apart. Has nothing to do with that. Don't watch it. Just listen. Okay? Go back and watch the candles, etc. All right? But record every single thing you do. And here's the other thing that I want to put a modern spin on this. This is something I started doing a long time ago. Let me just say, a long time ago. I have a secret YouTube account that all it is for is my ritualistic magic videos. That's it. That's it. I have a video that's on my phone. I upload it privately to the secret YouTube that I have, and they just sit there. That way I can clear them off my phone and not brick a phone, because I might have bricked a couple of phones. I want you, lastly, in talking about ethics and safety, to understand that ceremonial magic is spiritual work. It's not a party trick. It's not a party trick. It's not, oh, hey, I've got all my friends over. You guys want to see me do this? If you utilize it as a party trick, the angels, the angelic spirits, and the other spirits will treat you as a party trick. I want you guys to remember that. I want you guys to remember that. Okay? So let's talk about a mini protection ritual, because that's why y'all are really here, right? You want to know how to do a Solomonic protection ritual. Yes? Yes. I felt like protection was the best thing to start with. We can talk about purification next class. Okay? We'll talk about a ritual for purification for the next class. But why I wanted to start with this is because the world is crazy. I mean, just stating the obvious. The world is crazy. It feels like it gets crazier and crazier all the time. People get crazier and crazier all the time, and you can never have too many protections. This ritual is the fourfold divine guard. And I'll say that again. The fourfold divine guard. This is blending angelic protection with Solomonic divine names. Now, I'm just going to say this. Some of the Solomonic names I can't pronounce. I can't pronounce. I've tried. I've listened to them. I can hear someone talk all the time. My brain goes, this is how you say it. My mouth goes, nope. Please don't stress if you cannot pronounce these. I will spell them for you. You can write them down on the corners, okay? Don't stress. And if you're like, I don't know what the corners are, it's okay, it's okay. I got you. I'm going to explain in just a minute, okay? The whole reason for this ritual is to create a protective barrier around you, the practitioner, the magician. It is to invoke the authority of the divine through these Solomonic names. Remember how I said you need that authority to be able to really be a powerful practitioner. This is how you start, okay? So here are the things that you need. And yes, you need these things. Somebody's going to ask in the chat or later on YouTube, they're going to ask, can it be this instead of this? No. No. A small white candle is the first thing. It can be a birthday candle. It just needs to be pure white. That's it. Just pure white. This is for purity and for divine light. You can use a tea light. You can use a taper, a big taper, a chime candle. You can use a big old pill. I don't care. You just need a small white candle. Okay? You need a bowl of clean water. I highly recommend, some of y'all are going to get super excited when I say this. You ready? I highly recommend going to a thrift shop or to Goodwill and finding yourself a bowl that you just love. If you already have a bowl that you use for magic practices, cool. Oh no, you should go find another one. Oh no. Go find a bowl that you're like, this one right here. Okay? About this big around, about that deep is usually the best. Not a little tiny bowl, a pretty good sized bowl. Okay? Not something you would eat a personal salad in, but maybe something you would put salad on a table at Thanksgiving with, okay? Do you see what I mean? You want this bowl of clean water for blessing and for purification. The next is a pinch of salt. Now this, it doesn't matter what kind of salt. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have in your counter will work. I personally use only kosher salt or sea salt. I prefer kosher salt for Solomonic magic just because a lot of Solomonic magic and a lot of wording is in Hebrew, and I just prefer kosher salt with Solomonic magic. Whatever salt you have, don't stress about going to buy kosher salt. However, you can go get a pretty good sized thing of kosher salt at Dollar Tree. Like it's pretty cheap. So get yourself one that is just for this. This is for protection and consecration. Then incense. It doesn't really matter what kind of incense. Frankincense is good, myrrh is good, sandalwood is good, but whatever it is that you have that you want to use for protection. If you have sage that you love, if you have, I don't know, one of my favorite incenses is from HEM, the Hem brand, and it's called Black Magic. That's one I use for ritualistic practices. Whatever you want to use, okay? The next thing is a simple cord or a string. It's just to mark the circle on the floor. If you have a circle rug that you're going to use the rug instead, okay? The string doesn't have to be crazy long. If you have twine, you can use twine. If you have thread, you can use thread. I guarantee you already have something like this in your house. Rope, anything at all you have. This can be... You want it to be at least long enough for you to make a circle that you can stand in while you're doing this working. So if you're going to do the working on your altar, you want to at least have this circle that can go around your altar and around you. Now, let me say this. A circle doesn't always have to be perfect, guys. Okay? My Capricorn self always is like, oh, that circle is not perfect. It's okay. If you have a weird shaped altar and your circle is a little flat on one side, It's fine, I promise. Okay, no angel is going to be like, your circle is off by 5 degrees. I'm not helping you. That's not how it works, okay? So please don't stress, because I know that some of you guys are going to stress the hell out about this, okay? You just want to have, excuse me, you just want to have enough twine, rope, whatever, to make a circle around what you're doing. The next thing is your notebook and a pen, your grimoire that you're using only for ritual magic, and your video and your phone. Have a way to video it. None of this requires anything rare. That's all you need. Okay, so I'm going to go through it quickly again. A small white candle, a bowl of clean water, a pinch of salt, literally just a pinch, incense, a cord, and your recording device, which includes your grimoire, okay? Your grimoire and your recording device. You want to put all of these items on a table, on your altar, on your ritual space, wherever you're working. Sit for a moment and just breathe before you put your circle down. Before you put your circle down. Sit for a moment and just breathe with the space. Light your incense. As I mentioned earlier, before you do this, you want to go take a shower. You want to go take a bath. Okay? Cleanse yourself, light the incense, and cleanse your space. Once you have sat for a moment, now it's time for you to put that circle down. Get the circle ready, however you feel the circle needs to be. And we're going to use the word circle kind of lightly, okay? Just needs to kind of be slightly round. When you're ready, you're going to take a breath and you're going to step into the circle. Once you are in the circle, you do not leave until you have closed this ritual out. I want you to get that in your head. You do not step out of the circle until you have closed this ritual out. If you have kids, if you have a spouse, or anything like that, either wait till they're all away from the house or they're asleep, or be like, hey, I'm locking myself in here. Don't knock because I ain't answering the door. This is a time where you need to focus, okay? I'm lucky in that all my kids are grown at this point, but trust me, I remember trying to do things with little kids. I usually waited till they were at school or till they were in bed. My favorite time to do rituals was when everyone was asleep, including my ex-spouse, and nobody bothered me, okay? I don't recommend having pets in the room when you do rituals, period. Like, I would make that a big no-no, because pets will go across the circle back and forth. And when you get to the point that you're using salt circles, they can damage the salt circle. They can catch their foot on it, and there your circle is gone. And now your protection is gone in doing this ritual. The other thing is they are an open vessel. And unless you would like some fuck around and find out with an entity, I'm just saying, do not have a pet in the room. Just don't. When you are ready, you step into the circle, you take the salt and you mix it into the water, and you say the following. And you can move this slightly however you want, okay? I consecrate this water and salt in the name of the Most High for the protection and blessing of this space. You want to make sure that you invoke divine authority with this, and that this water and salt are now mixed together for the protection and blessing of this particular space. Now you light your candle, and you want to say something very similar to this. This is actually, these are the things, I tweaked them a little bit. They're not exactly what I say, because no one needs to know exactly what you say. But by the light of the eternal flame, I banish all darkness and call forth the guardians of the Most High. You can use the word God if you want. You can use the Holy Spirit if you want. Whatever you want to say, I just say Most High. But you want to make sure that you say, by the light of this flame, you want to make sure that you call in the divine authority, and you want to make sure that you are banishing the darkness, that you are calling forth the guardians. Okay. Now, you want to dip your fingers in the water, the water and the salt you just mixed together, and you want to lightly sprinkle it in 4 directions. So before you get this done, before you step into the circle, you just want to know what way north, east, south, and west are. Okay. Just look on your phone. Every phone has a compass app. Look on your phone. Make sure you find the right direction so you know which directions you're saying this to. If you forget and you're like, oh crap, and you have to do it while you're in the circle, I mean, I may have done that a time or two. I promise it's not going to screw you up. Just make sure your phone is in the circle and you're not exiting the circle. Okay. East is Archangel Raphael, and this is the element of air. And I'm going to spell the word for you because I can't pronounce it. It's YHVH. That is the Solomonic name that goes to the east. Okay? So east is air, it's Raphael, and the Solomonic name that goes with it is YHVH. Then south, and that is Michael, and that is fire, and it is ADONAI. The south is the Archangel Michael. It is the element of fire, and the Solomonic name that goes with that is ADONAI. If you're worried about being able to pronounce these Solomonic names, you can write them down and put them on those specific directions. Okay. Third is to the west. This is Archangel Gabriel, and this is the element of water. And this is EHEIEH. EHEIEH. Again, the third one is west. This is Gabriel. This is water, and it's EHEIEH. The next one is the north. This is Archangel Uriel, and this is earth. And this is AGLA. Again, number 4 is Uriel, it's earth, and it's AGLA. You want to sprinkle some water on each corner, each direction, whichever you want to say. I was taught that it's called calling in the corners. You're going to hear it called the watchtowers. You're going to hear them called the archangels, and you're going to hear them called the elements. I was just taught to call in the corners. That's what this is. So in witchcraft, if you hear somebody calling in the corners, if you hear them calling in the watchtowers, if you hear them calling the elements, that comes from Solomonic magic. Just saying. You sprinkle a little bit of the water on each one of these directions as you say so. Go in a full circle, okay? Once this is done, then you want to face each direction. So you're going to go around, and then you're going to start back at the east, and you're going to say to Raphael, before me, Raphael, healer of God, by the name of the Most High, guard me with the winds of truth. You want to specifically talk about the winds of truth. You want to specifically say Raphael. You want to specifically call him in. You want to specifically make sure that you know he is a healer, and you want to say either the name of God, the name of the Most High, whatever it is, but you want to specifically say the winds of truth. This is the air. This is going to protect you when you're doing ritual and you start suddenly hearing things in one ear that you know don't align with what you're doing. You get a trickster spirit in your ear that's like, yeah, but if you say this, then we can do this. You want to know what is the true thing that you need to be paying attention to and what is bullshit that you don't need to pay attention to. The next one is to the south. On my right hand, Michael, who is like God, in the name of the Most High, defend me with the flames of righteousness. You can say whatever kind of flames you want, but defend me with the flames of righteousness is always a good one because it always makes sure that you're in the right. If any of you guys have never worked with archangels before, even though I practice witchcraft and all this other stuff, I've worked with the archangels a lot. They're not these gorgeous little cherub-faced beings that you think they are. They will smack you on your butt. So make sure that you put in Michael, make sure that you invoke some name of God, the Most High, etc. And then make sure that you say, defend me with the flames of whatever. Righteousness is always a good one. If you're like, I don't really want to say righteousness, find something, some other word that is very close to it. Okay? Then you're going to go to the west, which is Gabriel. Behind me is Gabriel, the strength of the Most High. Shield me with the waters of purity. I really would just use what I just said. Shield me with the waters of purity, because you always want to make sure that the water that you're consecrating for this ritual will purify anything. You want to make sure that it will banish anything. So by saying the waters of purity and shielding you with the waters of purity, there is a lot of power in that phrase alone. You want to make sure that you mention Gabriel, that you mention the Most High or God or whatever, and you want to specifically ask for that water for you to be shielded. Okay? The next one you want to talk to is the north, and that is Uriel. On my left hand, Michael is always sitting on your right. Uriel is always on your left. Raphael is in front, and Gabriel is behind. I had to check my notes for a minute. Gabriel is behind. So that way you know which way you're to be facing. Okay? So you're going to face to the east, basically. East is that way. I'm like, wait a minute, which way am I facing? The east is that way as I'm facing. So you're always going to face to the east when you're doing this, okay? On my left hand is Uriel, the light of God. In the name of the Most High, protect me with the stones of eternity. He is earth. The north is earth. You want to make sure that you say the left hand, that you say Uriel, that you say the light, that you use whatever term you want to use for the Most High or whatever. Protect you, protect me with the stones of eternity. You can say with the earth of eternity, whatever it is you want to say, but you want to make sure you invoke the word eternity. Ritualistic magic is all about making sure that you use the right verbiage. So when I'm saying, you can figure out, if you don't want to say defend, if you don't want to say guard, find another word that is very strong like that. But using just the plain old verbiage, defend, guard, protect, shield, those are the best things to do. Okay? Now you want to seal the circle. The first time you do this, you're going to feel dumb. I just want you to know. You are either going to feel really dumb or really powerful, or you're going to flip-flop between the two. I promise. And it's okay. Everybody does it. You want to stretch your arms out while you're in the circle, and you want to say something like this. Around me shines the circle of the Most High. Above me sits the glory of El Shaddai. Below me, the foundation of, and I cannot pronounce this word, it's Adonai, Adonai. I said I can't pronounce it, and then I pronounce it. No evil may enter, no harm may pass. And I know some of you guys are like, wait. You said that too fast. You can go back and watch this on YouTube at any time. Around me shines the circle of the Most High. Above me sits the glory of El Shaddai. Below me, the foundation of Adonai. No evil may enter, no harm may pass. I highly recommend you use those specific lines. You have to call in the circle. You have to use the word Most High or God or whatever you want to use for it. You also need to make sure that you note above you sits El Shaddai, and you want to note that below you sits Adonai, and then you want to say specifically, no evil may enter, no harm may pass. Okay? It is up to you at this point. If you want to visualize light enclosing you, it's up to you. If you want to visualize something filling, don't let anything, just saying that. But if you want to visualize yourself being filled with light or protection, whatever you want to do. Some people are very visual people and they want to envision that egg of energy. That's fine. I don't do that, but it's because I'm very, very ritualistic with my practice with this. The next thing you want to do, this literally is a ritual. That's it. Now you're going to close. You're going to thank the archangels. You're going to thank Raphael. You're going to thank them in order of the way that you brought them in. So Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, then Uriel. I personally will thank each one. Thank you, Raphael. I appreciate you bringing the blessing of air into this space. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you bringing the spirit of fire into this space. Thank every one of them individually, okay? You will gain more respect if you thank every one of them individually, and if you note specifically what they did for you, what they brought in for you, instead of just like, all right, well, you know, Raphael and Michael, Gabriel, and Uriel, like, it's really cool that you came in and you, like, hung out and you did some, no. 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 Thank each of them personally. Thank each of them personally. If you do something for somebody, don't you want to be thanked personally? And if somebody goes out of their way to thank you personally for something you did, aren't you going to be a little more enticed to do that for them again, or to do something else for them? My thanks to you. Make sure that you thank them singly and then as a group. My thanks to you. I always say only for archangels and only for protection. Remain on the corners if you feel the need to. Depart if I am safe. You will know very quickly if one of them has stayed. You will know very quickly if one of them has stayed. May peace be between us always. That is my favorite way to close out a ritual when I'm working with angels. I give angels a hard time, and I usually say that they're dicks because they kind of are. In a good way. May peace be between us always. Okay? But thank them all separately and then say, my thanks to you all. Please remain with your element, with your corner, with this, whatever, if you need to. Depart if you need to. Archangels are a little different than other spirits, and this is why I set them aside in their own entity up here, and all other spirits are down here. Archangels in Solomonic Magic are always welcome to help you. Always. You never want to tell an archangel that they have to leave. You never, ever. Michael is one of the more famous one that everybody invokes for protection. You never want to say, you know what? I got this. I don't need Archangel Michael. Bullshit. Bullshit. You never, ever need to banish an archangel. Okay? Then you're going to extinguish the candle, and you're going to take your circle up, and you're going to record anything either by speaking to the video, to your voice recorder, and then you're going to write it down. I do want to explain that the 4 names I gave you, the ones that I spelled out that are Solomonic names, those are core Solomonic divine names. They will not change. They will always be for those elements and for those corners. And let me go through them again real quick, because some of you guys are going to be like, wait, go through them again. East is YHVH. South is ADONAI. West is EHEIEH. And north is AGLA. Those are core divine Solomonic names. They will not change. You will use them in the corners. You will use them at all times. The reason I also wanted to start with a core protection ritual and teaching you kind of how to call in the corners, how to call in the archangels, the elements, is that you will do this at the beginning of every single Solomonic ritual that you do. You will call in the corners. And as you start to practice, and as you start to do ritual by yourself, and as you start to really see the effects and so on, I want you to do a little experiment. I want you to do a ritual without calling in the corners. And I want you to feel the difference, because there's a difference. There's a big difference. And I know that some of you guys are going to say, well, you know, I'm not Christian. I don't practice Christianity. I'm not Jewish or whatever. That's fine, because Solomonic Magic is not Jewish. It is not Christian. It is not one specific religion. So that, my friends, is a core little tiny Solomonic protection ritual that you can do with stuff you probably have in your own home, unless you were like, oh no, I have to go shopping. Solomonic Magic is very, very powerful. And I want you guys to remember that Solomonic Magic does take practice. If you want to be good at it, if you want to be powerful in it, it takes practice. And I'll also tell you this, it is worth it. It is worth it. Have the patience, have the power, have the divine personal authority. I promise you that it is worth it. Make sure that you join me on Wednesdays. Make sure that you join me on Wednesdays. If you don't follow me everywhere on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the things, please do so. And I will see you guys.